Desla dinao, all taxpayers by buying. The danger of debt sitting off the books cannot be played down. Our problem is at micro level, and that's implementation. We cannot continue, this government cannot continue to table record budget after record budget and continue to fail at the micro level. This is problematic. How do we know? My goodness, you just have to go out on the street. The other day I was renewing my license and there was a young man from Morobe, I didn't get his name, and he's employed at Lihi Mine. He walked up to me and he said, "Governor, you member of parliament so? Mila kam na tok lo yulol heavy, mi blol workman sa facing. We pay a lot of taxes. I pay a lot of taxes. I want to see better outcomes for my taxes. Time em tok lo mi stop, the other people at MVIL all to come na tok lo mi lo same heavy. Me feel guilty no go through ya, Mr. Namelongol na. Harim kain tok long. And it is that guilt that I bring to this floor to talk about these things. The microeconomy is not performing as well as it should. Because despite these great budgets from the Marape Rosso government, record budgets, all people blame me pilim penye. I really want a full understanding, and I think this House deserves to get the full picture of all of our debts and liabilities. What do they look like? How transparently is this information being brought to the floor, if it's being brought to the floor at all? I remind my good friend the Treasurer that when we sat opposite, we took issue with Prime Minister O'Neill and his Treasurer at the time, and we were deeply concerned about off the budget debt, off-book items. Over the past 5 budgets, our government has borrowed around 30 billion kina. When the Minister for Works jubilantly celebrated the arrival of the road in Telefomin, and I was so happy for our Telefomin people, he announced then that total contracts that are running under Connect PNG is 7 billion kina. When we come to the FBO in March, I would ask the Minister for Finance to present on this floor all of those contracts and all of those values so that every member of parliament can get some transparency into this contracting. In the 2023 MyEFO that the Treasurer presented on the floor, we note a total of 8.3 billion in contingent liabilities. Now these liabilities are not part of the 62 billion kina debt the country currently has, only seen down outside. We also know, based on the presentation from the good minister, the Honorable William Duma, that New Guinea will borrow 3 billion kina to fund its refleeting exercise. I understand that will be covered by a sovereign guarantee from the state. In the 2024 budget, we see the government is giving New Guinea 100 million kina. We understand also that in the last 2 years, a total of 900 million has been given to SOEs that are on our current debt books. We know also from the presentation by the Honorable William Duma that KPHL will borrow 1.26 billion US dollars, a total of 4.7 billion, to fund its additional stake in PNG LNG. So if I'm to add all of that, that's around 16 billion kina I've got now sitting off the books. We also don't know the true level of judgments against the state. And I'd like the Minister for Justice, when we do the FBO, Treasurer, when you bring the FBO to this floor in March as required by law, I hope the Works Minister will bring Connect PNG. I hope the Attorney General will also bring all of the judgments against the state. Hamas, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, I don't know. I don't think any member of parliament knows, but I think parliament deserves to know. From 2019 to now, IRC has been directly deducting GST from all government payments. It automatically takes 10% out, and there are no rebates given to the companies. It would be nice also, Mr. Speaker, if the Treasurer could bring to the floor, as part of the FBO, a total amount owing by IRC to all these companies in terms of this direct deduction of GST. We have an area called arrears, and I know my colleague members, we passed a supplementary budget where plenty money go inside this area, we call them arrears. It would also be prudent, Mr. Speaker, if the Treasurer is able to present to the floor what is our total arrears bill. Is it 4 billion kina? Is it 6 billion kina? How do we report it? Is it part of the 64 billion? I think members of parliament need to know. If you add all of these numbers together, it comes to between 26 and 30 billion kina Mr. Speaker, that is sitting off the books. Now, why should we worry about this? Because currently, no member of parliament knows the actual number. We don't get the reports on this floor. So there is a considerable amount of debt sitting off the books that we don't see. Why should we be worried about it? Well, our current debt, after we approve the budget this afternoon, will be 62 billion. Suppose you got 25, 26, maybe 30 billion sitting off the books, then potentially there's 30 billion worth of dinau emistab arasite na inopat ludesla. 62. That scares me, and I think it should scare every single lawmaker on this floor. Why should we worry? Because all you need is one NEC decision. You don't need Section 209 approval. You just need, now yeah, by me give him Section 209 lo desla budget. Yeah. That's a Section 209. That's what this sitting is about. But for these debts to become part of government debt, it just needs one NEC decision. Why should we fear that? Well, there's an SOE right now that cannot repay its debts of about 2 billion kina. It is preparing an NEC submission to go to NEC, for NEC to say yes, and that 2 billion will be added onto the current 62 billion. That's why we should all be concerned, Mr. Speaker. Because there's a lot now. I'm all taxpayers by buying. Like that young taxpayer who walked up to me in MVIL and complained about his taxes. He will pay. The danger of debt sitting off the books cannot be played down.